Hi, I'm Jim Grouch, and I'm an engineer that specialises in mathematical modelling and simulation of complex systems. And in this series, How Things Work, I'm taking an engineering and simulation analysis approach to mechanisms affecting how our society works. And in this video, I want to discuss the concepts of fracture or fragmentation or shock failure. And I hope you're suitably shocked by these words and can see for a society the, I've got to say it, the shocking consequences of these principles. So, fracture is a catastrophic failure from when energy is applied or released suddenly. And I want to emphasize this applied or released. The energy leading to a shock failure doesn't have to be something that's applied suddenly. It can be something that's built up over a long time and is then released suddenly. So, for example, we know that the continents drift around the oceans, rubbing and pushing, building up tension, and then bam, there's an earthquake, possibly a tsunami, and possibly a nuclear power meltdown. It's not good. Similarly, if you deny people their rights, oppress them, treat them like fools, and allow free rein for unjust practices, you risk fragmentation of the community, or at least some explosive bad behaviour. So the common factor in failure by fracture or shock is the rate of change of energy, not the rate it is applied. Although the same can be achieved with rapid application. So suppression of rights and decency can be applied slowly and continents move around slowly, but the build-up of tension is relentless and the energy release can be triggered by the smallest trigger. Then it is easy to look at and blame the trigger. So I want to consider the concept of future shock. I think I had a future shock Wikipedia page open. Now, future shock is a concept, I guess. I don't know if Alvin Toffler's book is the originator of this idea in general consciousness or not. But the concept of, at least one interpretation of the concept of future shock is that rapid change, particularly due to introduction of new technology, can lead to changes in society or how society works, that are too fast for people to adapt to and understand and cope with. And I think often future shock is written or considered to be an inevitable thing, that particularly with new technology, things are going to change quickly, and therefore we have to learn to adapt faster. But I want to consider a couple of historical cases of what must have been at the time absolutely a shocking new introduction of technology. And in this case, I'm not using the words shock to scare you, and I'm not implying that these technologies are in any way bad, just that they change things very quickly. And the first one that I wanted to discuss as an example is the horseless carriage. Prior to the horseless carriage, all motion on roads for transportation and ambling or walking or whatever were at a particular slow pace, either a walking pace or horses trot or canter or whatever. Then along came the horseless carriage, the carriage in which the horse is replaced with a steam engine and then other types of engines, which was capable of moving at a much faster rate and introduce new other factors such as noise, potential backfires, etc. So in the case of the horseless carriage, at least in some countries, the government introduced laws that somebody had to walk in front of the horseless carriage carrying a red flag to warn people that this new technology, which had changed everything, was now on the road, and to be aware. Now, of course, you may think this is ridiculous, and certainly looking back at it, we would look at that as ridiculous, but it is an example of government stepping in to slow the rate of progress or change, or at least allow people in society a chance to adapt, and not allow the development of the technology or the implementation of the technology to be introduced in such a way that it would be an unacceptable shock on the people using the roads. Another example I want to give is a communication technology, a technology that changed the world, and it enabled distribution of information across countries and eventually across oceans. And it was the postal system. So with the postal system, suddenly there was a technology that opened up the possibility for unscrupulous people to send to other people anywhere in the world messages which could, and it was foreseen by governments, that it could be used to the great injustice of many people. So with this new technology, there was legislation to control the use of and to reduce the shocking effect that this ability to send messages to so many people. And if we think about the early postal systems, it was either His Majesty's Post or Her Majesty's Post or the US postal system, or there was certainly a government or a governing role, whether it's monarchy or whatever, in the management, establishment, setting up, and control and regulation of this potentially shocking technology. And we know, for example, I think the Al Capone story is something along the lines that they really couldn't get him on the crimes, the laws that they knew he was breaking, but they finally got him on, I think it was on incorrect invoicing and invoices being sent through the postal system. And of course, for the number of invoices that were incorrect, sent through the postal system, and it's against the law to send fraudulent, misleading, or whatever. I'm not sure what the actual the act is for the postal system, but it was not good to try and deceive people, such as the government, the tax office, by using the postal system. So, people walking slowly in front of cars, and strong regulation about the unscrupulous and unfair use of communications via the postal system. I think these are examples where future shock, examples of why we should not accept future shock as an inevitable consequence of rapid change from new technologies. And in fact, I think the thing that is that can mitigate future shock is government. So where there are new technologies, it's easy enough to have regulations and laws to control the use of the technologies. It's not necessarily easy to to identify all the misuses, but I think we can see quite clearly if you check your emails and then you check your letterbox and compare how much spam, fraudulent information, just pretend invoices from companies that don't exist, pretend documentation from government departments when it's actually just spammers and scammers. And if you look at the two, so if you look at the letters that you get and emails, you might see the benefit of regulation. So we're getting, again, government, the role of government in how society works has snuck into this discussion of shock failure, and that's something that I'm certainly going to have to consider more in building this mathematical model of how society works. So thanks for your time. I hope you come back and have a look at some more of the videos as I work towards building a mathematical model to help understand what's happening and as a basis or a methodology for being able to decide what we want to do to change things. Thank you.